Audible classics. Coming up, something Italian, red and fast, and I think you can guess what it is. A supercar is all about performance. Every detail of this car tells you it's a superior machine, capable of things others are not. Whenever you're near a supercar, you get a tingle up your spine, and you should right now. This is the Ferrari 308. This supercar classic is now 30 years old, and I think it's fair to say it has matured with age. It's beautiful, isn't it? Whichever angle you look at this car, it's beautiful. And I think that's why it has such a magical appeal for people. I mean, if you spent £100,000 on a modern-day sports car, the chances are you're going to get some filthy, dirty looks from everyone else who resent you for it, for having too much money. But for some reason, the Ferrari 308 just gets you smiles of respect. Ferrari knows a thing or two about making supercars, and this one was state-of-the-art in the mid-70s. The Pininfarina shape was enough to sell it to every man and boy in the land, but there was more. A fuel-injected, mid-mounted 3-litre V8, an interior usually trimmed in tan leather, and a dogleg 5-speed gearbox. On the inside, it's quite a culture shock from a modern car. The first thing in your focus is two great big sporty dials. They're the kind of dials that modern manufacturers try to emulate and always fail. They've got great big thick needles and lots of colour in there. A beautiful 3-spoke Ferrari steering wheel with a prancing horse right in front of me, just in case I've forgotten what I'm in. Dials and switches dotted around. Of course, the classic Ferrari gear stick with a stainless steel gate. And the seats, which are leather, very low slung, but pretty comfy actually. From the outside, you could stare at this car for hours, couldn't you? But when you get on the inside, you just want to fire it up and get going. Two things about the 308 experience. The first is that thrust from the V8. 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds is no longer world class, but it's still plenty quick enough. And the second is that noise of doing, 4,000 revs now, and you can just accelerate and it moves up to 5,000, 5,500 and building to 6,000 revs. There's just nothing like it. It sounds fantastic. I'm not on a track, so I can't sample the top speed. I do know that about 130 it gets very light at the front, but at legal speeds it's fine. The handling can be quite a handful. It's not that it's a hard or difficult car to drive, it's just that you need to maintain a degree of respect for it. Of course, it's rear-wheel drive and all the power is pushing the car down the road. On a dry day like today, it's not so bad, but on a rainy day, I think it can become quite a handful. It also tends to follow the lines in the road, so you need to be aware of that. And of course, if the back end does get away from you, the steering's very heavy. You need some pretty strong arms to correct it. The gearbox is interesting. It's got a dog-legged first gear, and when the car's cold, getting up to second is quite a manoeuvre. And then when you're warmed up and the car's warmed up, popping it from second to third and fourth to fifth is really very easy. Mind you, I keep catching myself just looking down to check I've got the stick in the right gate. Who bought these cars? Well, big hitters in money and entertainment circles. And one famous screen driver, Tom Selleck in Magnum. Producers made this car co-star of the show, and for many years it was named the Magnum car. So where did poor old Tom stash his suitcase of Hawaiian shirts when he went away on holiday? Well, back in the 70s, the competition for the Ferrari 308 was GTs and coupes with masses of space and comfort. But in the Ferrari, all they offered you was this. A tiny little cubby hole behind the engine, maybe enough room for a small set of golf clubs, but definitely not a car for going on holiday. Owning a 308 is not cheap. Values for them have always been extremely high, until the 90s when money markets and demand for fast classic cars tumbled. £20,000 is entry level, but a clean, low mileage car will need another £10,000 to £20,000 more. Servicing is regular and also pretty costly. The flip side is that a good car will hold its value if it's kept well, so depreciation is not a huge problem. You know, there are some cars that work better when treated with kid gloves, and there are some cars that just want to play. I know that if this car could talk, it would growl to me, "Let's take the long road home." So that's what we're going to do.